So
And my
Diane, is that
question,
why you sent out the spoken word?
yeah,
Same with Gene. And just to touch on it, Diane, you had mentioned, especially coming from the family that we come from, being macho and things like that. Gene, you had touched on it last time about breaking generational influences. Like how do we go about doing that, breaking the stigma, breaking the macho ness, I guess you could say. There's a certain role that we have as men have to establish and partake in as men influencing our future generations. But how do we break the generational influences that have a negative association, specifically mental health or therapy or just effective communication? I think that those are things that we're accustomed to being not associated with being a man per se.
I feel like if we could all love like we love, like you in Phil, of course you'll experience this soon enough. But if we could love it, like J. Cole say, love yours, or just take this. If we could love like we love children, I was at Walmart the other day, in the freezer aisle, like and it just happened to where I didn't need anything. I was just there, walking through the aisle, and then I'm babbling back to my little man, right, and people are walking by and. And I'm in somebody's way and I look up and like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm this grown dude and I'm over here babbling with this, I'm like acting like a little kid myself, because he just brings that out of me, right? But there's no pride there, right? I don't care who's seeing it. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like that's just, I love him, so I see nothing else but him, right? The same way the other fellas here know that what that's like. And again, you will soon feel, and I feel like if we're able to do that in a sense, the way we could do that with our child or a child or a pet or whatever. And it's funny I say a pet, right? But because there's none of that pride, there's none of that fear, there's nothing there, and we just learn to try to love now formulate that and make it to the person you're with. You love that person in that same way, more often than not, because I think that's a big part of it, again, because I told you, when being raised, like like I said, how tough my dad could be, and things that there's just a lot, we all, there's a lot of trauma. There's trauma in just families, there's trauma, and but just every day saying, what, I know I want to be better than that. I've had these discussions, I've shared that with my my significant other, the traumas, and talked about how I want to make sure certain things don't ever occur, certain things are not ever said, different things like that. And that's how, and again, that's why I mentioned the whole pride thing, putting that pride aside and be, and just trying to make sure that you're just better every day. It's not like I'm saying I never want to be like so and so. There's just certain things that you just want to make sure you don't want to do in some ways, and some things you will do, but there's those other things that you just like, man, if I just learn to communicate or be better about this or just put my pride aside, I think that's a huge way to we're already doing a lot of that, because I think we are, we're coming up in a different age. It's not like it was with our parents. There's just a lot more out there, a lot more that we see, but then we also have a lot more people to bounce ideas off of and to talk to, and and some of those things that we, there's more therapy and so forth, and counseling, and so many more tools than probably our parents were exposed to in the other generations, right? So being able to use that, or in, not to be spiritual, but like fellowship with your fellow brethren, right? So that help you in all of that, like these discussions. So that's how we do it, because they didn't do this, and we're doing it, so we're already better for it.
not to piggyback off of what he was saying, but like what Philip was saying, and just everybody in general, right? So what I was listening to everybody say is, uh, us as men, we take pride like very serious, right? But I think uh, we were raised to think that pride. To me, we we're triggered to think the opposite of what it should have been. Like you said, hey, you know how to swallow my pride to go over there and feed these dogs for a minute. That's not you swallowing your pride. That was you being prideful, and you went over there and did what you were supposed to do as a man to save your relationship. That's the pride. You see what I'm saying? So what we need to start doing is start thinking about it different. Don't look at it as I had to swallow my pride to keep my relationship great. No, you used your pride to save your relationship. You see what I'm saying? Like that's a proud moment for you. Am I right or wrong? Like when you look back at it, you're like, yo, I was going over there. I didn't even see my woman. I was just doing what was right. You see what I'm saying? That's pride, you know? Letting your kids see you cry. We think of it as, oh, I had to swallow my pride and my kids saw me cry. No, that's being pride. That's being a stand-up guy. That's showing them, hey, look, it's okay to cry. It's okay to. I'm not saying go out here and cry every single Friday when you see your kid, but we got to break those molds and show emotion. Like I can count on my hand how many times I've seen my dad cry in my life. You know what I'm saying? It's not right. It's not wrong. You know, but it's just we just need to change our. It's not necessarily changing the whole game or the mindset. It's just changing the way we look at things. We can't change the whole world, but we can change the way we look at things. Little simple things, you know. So, come on, Dominic, what you got, man?
What's up?
Nah, I saw Dominic put the thumbs up. I was like,
everything you just said, I agree with, like wholeheartedly. But I learned that. That was not something that I naturally understood. I had to learn a lot of what you were saying.
Yeah, but it's one of them things, though. Is us as parents, we're all parents now. Philip, you got one on the way. Welcome to the club, baby. So it's one of the things is like these are things that we have to instill in our children. Like we can't expect them to go to school and get taught that it's okay to come in second. You get what I'm saying? We can't expect them to go to school and like we were talking about in our last podcast with Gene, like, we put a lot of responsibilities on the world, but at the end of the day, we made the decision to make these kids. So it's up to us to instill in them and to make them great people. You know what I'm saying? So what we've learned in our 30 years, we got to force that on them in the next 18. You see what I'm saying? And I feel like, us as a collective, we've learned a lot, grown a lot. And, even like we were saying, our family, there's a relationship wise, I failed a lot of relationships because of family, because of expectation. It wasn't because of pride, it was because of expectations, what was drilled in us. When there's that little girl who is, 5 years old, you give her a baby doll, you're prepping her to be a parent. You know what I'm saying? Like there's that little boy, you first thing your uncle says, how many girlfriends you got? So it puts you on this path when you're like, I need all these girlfriends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and I'm not trying to point a finger at anybody. I'm not trying to say, hey, look, there are the reasons why, I grew up and I wanted to have 3-4 girlfriends. Like, but it makes things okay. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you're wrong thinking and makes it okay because you get that from your tribe. You know what I'm saying? Let's just call it a tribe because it takes a tribe to build, it takes a village to build a child. You know what I'm saying? Like to raise a child. So we just got to start with us. We can't worry about what our parents did. We can't worry about what our ancestors did. We got to wipe the slate clean and say, hey, look, this is what we started. Like you guys went to college. So that's your expectation on your kids. You can't worry about what your parents did because if you worry about what your parents did, you shouldn't have gone to college either, right? So it's just one of the things, man. It has to start with us. And, if we want the world to change, it's us. We got to change first and show them the way and grow from that, And stop caring what people think. That's a big issue. Like I know I'm going on a little rant, but I mean, it kills me to like in the last 2 years, I've gone from not caring to not giving a fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it makes life so much easier. Literally, it makes life so much easier. Like I know every one of us have had somebody in your life where when the phone rings, it gives you anxiety. Just because you're like, what's this person want now, right? But when you don't care, guess what? The anxiety goes away, the depression goes away. You just hey, look, man, I just try to see the greatness in everything. You know what I'm saying? You only get one shot, you only get one life, so like make it simple,
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pass the offering plate around. Thank you, brother Brandon, for that sermon.
Service is over.
Right on, man. Right on. So, how do y'all touching on Donnie, your experience? Are you still having conversations?
In regards to what?
To like the therapy and things like that, or how do you I think Phil, you touched on it last time, self-therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are your methods and modes and things like that to get through the day to day, to see the bigger picture, things like that?
I think for me, it I had mentioned to you guys in the meeting before that I had been in a men's group for a number of years, and I had to learn that it's like anything else. You have to exercise those muscles. And if you were a person that chose to bottle things up most of the time, or tell people you were fine every time that someone asked you, whether it was a loved one or someone that you didn't know and you weren't being honest, you had to learn to exercise those muscles and say, you know what, I'm having a rough day. Things are not going well today, or things are fantastic. Now that you asked, and actually have a conversation. It's so easy to just say, hey, how's it going? And really not mean it. and really not expect the person to respond to you, because you're trying to keep it moving. You're not really interested. But to exercise that muscle and actually be interested, to exercise the muscle and be in a conversation with another person and literally just listen and not come up with rebuttals or not come up with things to paraphrase and not come up with anything else. You literally just listen. It's work. It's work if that's not something you've been practicing your whole life. So to hear all these different things that I hadn't been experiencing, or at least attempting before, and now practicing them, it's a big night and day difference for me. I'm not going to say that I am who I want to be yet, but because it gives me more to reflect on and to learn from, it's making me a better person because of it. So yeah, that's why I'm a huge advocate for therapy or small groups, or just getting outside of yourself and getting involved with people that care. That's the biggest thing. Being a part of a group like this, where most of us had relationships and stuff like that, is awesome. But to put a focus on concerning yourself with another person is a big deal, because you don't have to. We've all got our own families. We've all got our own jobs. We've all got our own stuff. You don't have to do this. But to exercise those muscles is huge. It just makes you an all-around better person. And it makes life easier. It's not just something to do or something to commit yourself to. It makes life better. You look forward to seeing these people. You look forward to embracing the love that they give you, and then being able to love on them. It's a different feeling altogether.
So are you saying, oh, go ahead, Phil.
Oh, no, go ahead. Now, I was just trying to see how are you directly applying that? I know you just got like big on Twitter and everything now. Is that something that you've just been paying attention to, what's been going on, other people and everything?
In all walks of my life. Mm-hmm. So before, work was I would have relationships that were organic, and they would just happen. Now I like purposely go out of my way to work with people, or just to have a conversation if they're people that I wouldn't normally interact with. Like, I purposely do that because it's exercise for that muscle has some atrophy, but it's also a chance to get to know more people and have more relationships with. And I'm thankful for it. I mean, there's just so many instances where I've acquired friendships with people that are from way different walks of life from me now. And I wouldn't have had that 10, 15 years ago. I just wouldn't. And it's not about getting stuff from people. It's like, it's just experiencing the world in a different way. There's so many experiences that you get to learn about through these other people that I wouldn't have the opportunity to know about. It's just cool. I have to do it because it's so easy for me to say I'm an introvert. I have to push myself to do it. It tires me out, but I do it.
I was going to ask, along the same lines, Phil, you were talking about like how you approach it or how you understand it. Like, what are you saying to folks now instead of, hey, how you doing? Like, how are you getting past that mundane question to really dig into, like, is it you? I'm trying to make sure I'm phrasing it right. Is it you that's is making a genuine interest, or is it how you're approaching the situation that it's their response? Just in general, because you said, being an introvert and things like that, like, hey, how you doing is a very generic question and things like that. But are you saying something different? Are you looking them in the eye? Like, what's the trigger that you've learned in terms of, is it body language, reflection of the voice? I might be getting a little too technical, but I know there's psychology behind it.
You're not. That's the kind of stuff that I think some parents do instill into their kids, and people would call it old school, because so much is not personal. It's impersonal nowadays. It's so much digital and through an email or through a text or through even a phone call or whatever. But to remember to shake a person's hand the right way, to keep eye contact, to not fold your arms in a conversation. These are all things that, like, it's a part of an etiquette. And because human beings really haven't changed. I mean, yeah, the things we talk about, the things that we do has changed over the past few centuries or whatever, but the psychological aspect of it hasn't. When you do those things and you remain open and willing to accept whatever they're saying or whatnot, it works with people. And I genuinely have an interest now, because I'm not worrying about rejection. I'm really trying to listen about their family or their experiences on a job site, or a question that I had for them as to why they did something, versus just waiting to hear what I want to hear. I'm asking them genuinely out of interest why they did what they did. I have to think of those things. I have to be committed to the conversation, which is something that I wasn't always doing. I was ready to say hi and dip. I was ready to be that smiling face that people saw in the hallway and be ready to go somewhere. But now, before a person walks away, I'm like, oh, last week you had mentioned that your wife was in the hospital. Last week you had mentioned that, when you remember those little details or whatever, people appreciate that. It's worthwhile to do. Then they really know you were listening, that you care. I really had to work at that.
And see, this circles back to what Dueno was asking. Communication is key. You know what I'm saying? And just like what Don was saying, something so simple as, just listening. Like, when you're an introvert, when somebody says, how was your weekend? What's the first thing you said? Okay.
Good.
Or good. It's just one word. It ain't none of this. Well, me and my girl went out to a movie. It's just good. It was okay. But sometimes you're not even nice enough to be like, well, how was yours? You're just like, it was good. And you just walk off. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, man, I commend you, and I'm in the same ballpark, man. Like, so now my thing is every Monday, I walk to like 4 or 5 people I like at work. You know what I'm saying? And I ask them straight up. I hit off the back. I'm like, hey, how was your weekend? Or if I talk to them Friday, I ask them what they're gonna do over the weekend. And like Donnie was saying, I follow up. Hey, look, did you go to that party, or did you have a New Year's Eve bash? Or I do the follow up, man. And it actually makes you feel good when they get so excited telling their story. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know, you get a little excitement out of it. It's like, I don't have to tell you my whole life, but you telling me yours makes me feel better.
True story.
Yeah, I was at AutoZone today. Hold on. I was at AutoZone today, right? and I was dealing with this little battery situation. And then this one girl, she's behind the counter line, and there's like 2 customers off to the left side, and I'm in line too. I'm waiting, and then another associate walks in. He walks in, and she's like, "Hey, Mark, how you feeling today?" He goes, "I feel like shit." And
Marcus, keep it real.
All the way.
The whole place quiet down, and she's like, "All right," But the funny thing is about that, right? It was so comical, it was so real and raw that not only like no one was expecting for Mark to say this, and it made you want to listen to hear what else Mark had to say, right? Like, damn, Mark, why do you feel like shit? Like, I wasn't expecting you to say that. Please tell me what's going on. Like, you know what I mean? Because like you said, the norm is to be like, nah, I'm good, But when Mark said that joint today, man, I'm telling you, there was like a straight pause before there was laughter, because we were like, yo, Mark, what's wrong? Like, you know what I mean? But it was still funny, But like you said, yeah, so because everybody's just so used to the same, same old. So that was just perfect that you said that. So I had to share that, man. That joint was funny.
Gene was like, "Am I tripping? Did he just say?"
Yeah, for real, that was definitely an "am I tripping" moment, man. I was definitely that.
Shout out to Mark, man. You gotta get him on the podcast. Find out what's going on.
Absolutely, man.
We gotta find out why his day was shitty.
Like, Mark, why did you feel like shit that day? Yeah. So absolutely, fellas.
Right on.
But I guess back to Donnie, right? So Donnie, you said you was doing group therapy. Have you done any solo therapy?
Nope. I have done some consultations or whatever, and I had done one session with a guy that our schedules aligned, and that was like 2 years ago. And it was supposed to be like a half an hour session, and we ended up talking for like over 2 hours. And it's hard. Like let's be for real about this. Like, therapy and being real and being honest and opening up closet doors and stuff when they ask you a question, because if you don't, then what's the point? If you go in there and you have your walls up and you're ready to have rebuttals and defend yourself and all this kind of stuff, like, then you're going in there for the wrong reason. Like, you're not going in there to prove something to them. You're opening up and asking for a different perspective on the way you've been seeing things. And it was hard. It's not in something that you just jolly about and just run back to all of a sudden. It's not. It's work, and it's tough. Straight up.
I can agree with that. So just to give y'all insight, right? My girl texted, she's like, look, because obviously we're going through a lot. She's like, maybe we should go to therapy. And I'm like, I get defensive. You know what I'm saying? Like, I put my business out there. I'm just like, nah, I'm good. Like, but do you, boo-boo? Like, if you need therapy, knock yourself out. She's like, well, I was saying like, me, you, and the kids and everybody, But I've been to therapy and I know what it does to me. I know, like, it just, at this point in my life, going through what I've gone through with, death after death, I'm not ready to grieve yet. Like, I've just been putting it on the back burner. So therapy is 100% grieving. You get what I'm saying? Whether it was something that happened to you when you were 10, or whether it was something that happened to you yesterday, or it was something that happened to you when you were first born, like, it's all about finding the root of your problem and just being open and talking about it. And if you're not comfortable with the person you're going to, find another therapist. It's that simple. Like, because you should be able to just pour it out. If you got, like Donnie said, like, he talked to somebody for 2 hours, like, that's a good session. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go there and it's just like, how much more time I got, you with the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? Like, but you should be able to be open and just let yourself flow. But for me, I was ready to fuck my relationship up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna keep 100. Like, I got defensive, and it was like, it started going real left field. It was like, oh, it's always about you. And once again, like, I'm like, man, I need to tighten this pride up and just be like, you know what? Look, if I gotta grieve, if I gotta do this, at the end of the day, we're a team, and whatever saves the team, I'm down with. So
So what are you saying? You're going to therapy?
I will eventually. Right now, nothing's set in stone. But I mean, it's on the table. I mean, if she wants to do therapy, I'm cool with it. Like, whatever. Whether we do therapy together or we do therapy separate, like at the end of the day, at some point I'm gonna have to grieve and go through the things that have transpired in last year. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to talk to somebody about it. So it's like, why not talk with it with your partner? You know what I'm saying? She's been there with me. Like, shit, she was here when my brother died. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I called her and was like, hey, look, shit happened. No, she was with me, like right by my side. So it's one of the things like, and you get so caught up in stuff. Like, you guys ask me, hey, how you doing? How you doing? Good. Like, I just started asking her, like, yo, are you good? Like, and I think when I ask her if she's good, she don't really comprehend. Like, I'm like, are you good? Like, because I know when you guys ask me, I say, yeah, but at least somebody's asking. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, we get in this day-to-day thing where as a partner, you just assume that somebody's good. You know what I'm saying? Because you're strong about it, so they should be strong about it, But I just gotten to the point where I'm like, I want to ask more. Like, like, tell me, are you really good? Like, not like, let's talk about it. Like, if you need to take a time off, take a week to yourself, like, do it now because, like, I don't want you to go nowhere. I don't want you to get burnt out. Because in situations like this, like Donnie knows, be smiling because you can get burnt out, man. Like, and it happens in a blink of an eye. Like, you can wake up one day and just somebody tell you they're not happy. You see what I'm saying? When really it's been years of build up. Like, so.
Yeah.
Let's hear it, Donnie.
Just something quick.
He's like, I got it.
Before Philip says what he's going to say, I just want to say thank you for that. And that's genuinely like me knowing who you are and how you rock. Like, thank you for being that open and honest with all of us like that, because you don't have to. And at the end,
it kind of does. This is a Stxhes podcast, but I hear what you're saying.
It's all about healing, you know what I'm saying?
So, right.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? But I hear what you're saying.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so easy to just put that facade up and act like everything is copacetic when it's not. And for you to be open and honest and be like, you know what, I haven't been checking in with you like I'm supposed to. Like, I know I should, because what you're really saying is I want you to do the same for me too. You're getting there.
Yeah. I'm getting there.
You're getting there. And that's what makes it beautiful. Like, when you're doing stuff like that and you're putting your toe in the water, you're like, I don't know, but you're still doing it anyway.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable, but you're doing it because you feel like this is what's right. Philip was talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
He was putting himself out on a limb, and he really didn't know what all he was supposed to do, but this felt right. I'm gonna go in here and feed the dogs. I'm gonna go and do these things, even though I don't know if I'm crossing the wrong boundaries or not. This still feels right. Like, that's a beautiful thing. So thank you for that. Seriously, like, straight up. I'm being genuine with you, y'all. Like, that's awesome. That's all.
I second that, man. That was tough.
My question for you is, like, does it, like, if you know why you don't want to go to a therapy session, and I guess this is for both you guys, it's like, when you're walking into the therapy session, do you already have an idea of exactly what it is that they're going to be bringing up to you, and that's what the reason you don't want to go, that's the reason? But it's like, my question is, if you know what it is, how much does that weigh on you day to day? Like, do you carry that every day? Like, knowing you don't want to grieve yet, knowing you don't want to go in and face those stories, like, how much on a day to day does that take away from you, instead of doing what you know could potentially, get rid of that? Like, I guess, like, how do the scales tip with that?
Want to go first? You want me to go first? It's up to you.
Yeah, man, good.
I would say so. Look, grieving for me is one of them things. I never grieved for my mother, So it's like I felt like even though I'm the middle child, I always felt like the big brother. You see what I'm saying? So it's like when my younger brother and my middle brother or my older brother, when they was like, when my mom passed, everybody stopped doing what they were doing. Everybody stopped working. Everybody just shut down. You see what I'm saying? Me, I tried keeping it together. I'm like, look, I gotta still go to work on Monday morning. I gotta still make sure we got a house. I still gotta make sure we good. I still gotta make sure everybody's good. I call everybody like, you good? Like, I couldn't cry in front of everybody. Like I had to be that glue. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, even though you going through your crisis and you want to shut down, I'm gonna still make sure you good. You know what I'm saying? Like, take your time, take your 2 weeks, take a month, take a year. I don't care if you want to go to work or not. I'm gonna work for the both of us. You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt like when my mom passed. So it was like I just felt like I had to be the strong one, So now
I think you felt the same way, with the with the recent.
Blake.
It was the same thing.
And I do, and you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like, when it comes on East and West, it's like I gotta be the strong guy. Like, there's mornings where, I dream about my brother all night and I wake up crying and I'm like, man, I don't want to work. But I gotta go to work. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta suck it up. I gotta go to work. I cry all the way to work. You know what I'm saying? But it's one of them things. It's like right now, it's a lot easier for me to put it on the back burner and just act like he's on vacation. He's gonna come back one day, than it is for me to go talk to somebody and realize that, hey, I gotta raise his kids for the next 15 years and he's never coming back. And you get what I'm saying? Like, I'm just not ready for that. Like, so I would rather go to work and cry on the way to work 15 minutes every day than to sit down and really realize what has happened and how my life really has changed. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I know saying it out loud, some people is probably like, oh, but it's no. To me, he's still on vacation. Like, I feel like he's at work right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's out DJing, just watching the kids. Like that, I still feel like that. And it's been since September. So until I start feeling like, hey, look, this shit's real, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I don't need nobody to burst my bubble before it's ready.
But that alone right there, touching on what Phil said last week in self-therapy, that could be what you're saying right now is your self-therapy. That's how you approach it. There's no right or wrong way to heal,
No, you're definitely right about that,
Yeah. But
it is definitely my self-coping mechanism. You know what I'm saying? And it might not work for somebody else. It works for me right now, I mean, I could 3 years from now, I could blow up and kill everybody in the mall just because of holding it in. You never know. I would never do that. But I'm just saying, shit can happen.
Go to commercial break.
Right before you. We're back.
Shut the whole camera down. You know how to. I mean, how about you, Donnie?
Well, I think you just brought up something interesting. And Dueno, like, what do you think about compartmentalizing?
Like, that's something, me personally, I don't think I can do that. I don't know how, I have a good buddy, my college roommate, he's in the medical field. He showed me pictures of all types of stuff, right? And folks in the ER and things like that. But it's like, how do you separate those images, those sights, those sounds, those smells when you walk home? Hey kids, how you doing? This and the other thing. It's just, for me personally, it's hard to turn off in the day-to-day, but you put me on the field, on the court, like, then it's tunnel vision. And I can separate what I call reality and not reality. I don't know. For me, it's something that, like, if somebody says something that just bothered me or rubbed me the wrong way 3 years ago, and I see them again down the road, like, I can say hi to you, but it's something that's still going to resonate with me because I can't, I guess, like you said, compartmentalize it or separate that. So kudos to the folks that can. It's just I wasn't built like that, where everything kind of just all meshes together.
Philip?
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree with Duano. It's very tough for me to just. There's plenty of things that I'd love to just be able to compartmentalize and just be able to move forward from, but I think it all ties back into like understanding yourself. Like an understanding of self is so important because there's no right or wrong to anyone's situation. Like not being able to compartmentalize may truly benefit you in the long run because it pushes you in a different way, or it makes you move differently, or you learn from others the way other people have done things. You learn the right way to do it by seeing the wrong way. But it still carries, experiences with our parents growing up. It still carries. Even if you go to the holidays and stuff like that and you hang out and you're doing all those things, like you don't forget those times. You're able to move forward, but it's still it's shaped your view of today. So it's still there. I'm not able to just compartmentalize and act like it's never happened. At some point, that box is going to get open. It just may manifest itself in a different way, and you can't even explain it at that point why you're just angry for no reason. Once I feel like once I started backtracking and start opening up those boxes, that's when it gave me a better idea of, oh, this may be the reason why I'm this way, or this is the reason why I'm this way. And you can address it and have, be proactive about it instead of just allowing it to hit you and react to it. But no, I can't compartmentalize at all.
But I mean, to Don's point earlier, are we exercising those muscles? To say we can't, that I'm thinking back on it, like I say I can't at the moment, but have I tried to? Maybe to a degree, but if I'm not exercising those muscles, then it's easy to say no.
Yeah, I mean, with that being said, it's like I guess my definition of compartmentalize is a little different. When it's like I guess you can still compartmentalize and still know of it without it actually affecting today's result. Because it's like I even like tying into what I said, like our parents or whatever. It's like my relationship with my dad changed so much once I got to 28, 30 years old or whatever, probably like 30 years old, that I'm able to look back and think of, all right, what age did he have when he had was he when he had us, and start looking at what years we were going through it and think of where I am in life, or where I was when I was 25 or whatever, and the types of things that I'm judging him on something that I repeated. And now I can't get past those things. So I guess I should never be forgiven as a person. You are whatever your worst thing is that you've ever done. Like if that's the case, then, I had to start looking at sports differently. Like, oh, well, he did steroids back in 2015. So I can't mess with him anymore. It's like, well, he served his time. He did everything that he had to do. He lived in shame, and now he's back trying to do his thing again. But I'm still going to keep him there. It is a way to be able to compartmentalize it in some respect. It's just, I guess it's like I keep that guard up a little bit. Where other people, I don't have to have that guard up. You haven't gave me a reason to build up that same level of a guard, but I'll compartmentalize and still keep it in the back of my mind. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to do my best to move forward from things and not allow the past to dictate what the future is. It's an everyday struggle, but yeah, I mean, it's easier said than done, but yeah, it has to be done.
Gene, how you feel about that? And again, I'm not asking if it's wrong or right. I'm asking, like, do you have the ability to do it?
To compartmentalize? Like, what are we talking about specifically in compartmentalizing? Like death?
So Brandon was able to say when he wakes up in the morning and he's had a dream or something like that about his brother, and to be able to for 1 second or a few seconds, whatever it takes, for him to think about him, for him to grieve for a moment, and then say, you know what, that's enough for that. I need to get up and I need to get dressed and I need to go to work. Like, I've got obligations to fulfill. Like, do you feel like you're able to do that consistently? Do you feel like you can do that and it's effective for you?
Yeah, it's effective. we all have options. So funny. I was listening to this whole thing, this Jay Prince piece, and then he goes, every day you wake up with a chance and a choice, right? So, you have a chance to get up and do something different. You have a chance to really get out there, and you have the choice to do it or not, right? So, I think it's one of those things. Like, and I've talked about, embracing things. Like, and I remember, Brandon, he's like, it's that where you just embrace that pain. I think the last couple years, man, without it being, my immediate family, I've dealt with a lot of death. I remember the first thing death, that impacted me, where, I lost one of my good friends on a Friday. When we're in high school, he's picking out his fro, man. This dude's, he's working, and he got his job, and then back in, we're in high school, got the Nextel flips and all, he's working at the grocery store, so forth, man. And this dude has an infectious smile, and that's my guy. And we're before school starts, we're in the bathroom, he's in the mirror, at the sink, he's in the mirror, I'm looking at him, man, like, yo, Gary, man, I'm proud of you, man, this and that. On Sunday, I get the news that my man's, he drowned, and then that was the first time my world spun 360. I'm like looking at, I'm in this room, and the room is spinning. I'm like, yo, I'm like literally just spinning around, when my boy is telling me about this, and again, I'm in high school, and then so I get that bit, then I get these other bits of news. So I've lost a lot of people without it necessarily being like, I guess that's also another thing about being like an extrovert, right? In a sense where, you get to know a lot of people, but then you find that a lot of people do pass too. And I just remember becoming a little bit more desensitized, and then there's, I've seen pictures of my aunt, pretty much passed away, or, an uncle of mine, and it's crazy. And in my culture, it's a different kind of thing, man. They'll show you these pictures, man, and, and then you get in trauma from that kind of thing too. And sometimes I'll be like, nah, I don't look at him. Like, but why'd you send it to me? So what you call, so you're seeing all these things, man, and then you're just like, yo, you got to just keep pushing. Like, you just got to keep going. I embrace the pain. I don't know how I'll react, if something more, super, super close happens to me, but I know I just got to keep pushing, and it was kind of crazy because, when we lost our brother, I called our other brother B. I called B, and I'm talking to him, and and this dude's already taking care of business. He's taking care of business, and then talking to him like, damn, this dude's built different. He's just taking care of business. And we talk another time. All right, cool. Thanks for watching the kids, and this and that. I'm like, damn, yo, how you just keep moving? He doesn't stop. You just keep going, but he's embracing that pain. It's not that it's not there, but it's just like, I can't stop. I gotta look out now. I gotta look out for them. There's no time to grieve, but sit and sulk, and and it's crazy, and it's just, but I was paying attention to that, and we talk, and we get into other things, and it's just kind of like, and then, yeah, you're right, man. One day it could come around where you just like, and it's an excuse in a sense, because there are days when I think about all the things that I hear, and I'm a person that hurts for other people. So when I tell you what I'm hearing for the bank, that stuff all keeps accumulating. I got a file full of death certificates, people that, I've either worked with, or people that I work with that lost family, so death is something that's so crazy. I'm like, yo, it just keeps happening. And, but there are days when I'm just like, yo, what's the point? Nowadays I got my little guy that builds me up, and he's like a saving grace. But there are days when I'm just kind of like, it's an excuse to just be like, F it, and just, I don't care. Like, what's it all matter? We all gotta go. But yeah, man, you have to somewhat compartmentalize it to keep going. You have to, otherwise it just puts you in a super depressed state. You start listening to them songs all the time, but you got to be able to grieve and just embrace it, man. I think that's the number one thing I always say, man. I just embrace pain. I embrace loneliness. I embrace the fact that people die. And it's crazy. It's at some points it desensitizes you, and then there are other points where you just kind of like, you're just accepting it, like, this is life. And again, I'm telling you, like, you're looking at other people that come in and are smiling at you, and then they're losing people the same day. But they got to keep going. They keep going for somebody else. So, I think might have been a different story if there wasn't the nieces and nephews to look after, if if the the partner wasn't around at that time. Like there are a lot of saving graces at times too that happens around these things that keep us going, right? But you have to, man. You just have to do it. Whether you grieve now, you grieve later, but you have to put it somewhere and then say, I got to keep pushing. Um, that's just that. That's how I see it. That's how I view it. So.
It's just tough. It's like, well, when is the appropriate time to open up that box? When is it okay for you to have more than 15 minutes of windshield time on the way to work? And I've asked you this before. It's like, what do you even think it would take for you to have that intimacy with that feeling or that sense of loss? Like, when can you like focus on it and take as much time as you needed to focus on it, and then be able to say, you know what, I'm finally okay with it. They are in a better place. They are in a more peaceful state. They're not in pain anymore. Like, have you ever considered that? What would you need? What would it take?
Talking about B, right? Who's the question for?
Brandon.
I mean, to me, I got my. I don't want to sound like a dick or anything or an asshole, but to me, I can do all that when I'm done. You get what I'm saying? Like I mean, I'm not trying to push anything off, but it will happen. Like I know, like when it came to my mom, I didn't have enough time. I don't have enough vacation. Like literally, like I wanted to shut down for a month. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I just literally wanted to just lock myself in a room and say fuck work, say fuck like let me just breathe. You know what I'm saying? I haven't had that opportunity. Like now my brother's going, and it's one of them things. It's like I'll grieve when his kids, when I know they're good. You know what I'm saying? When I know that the job is complete, when they graduate high school and they're better people, they're better off. You know what I'm saying? That's when I'll be able to sit back and say, hey, I can breathe. You know what I'm saying? But until then, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's not going to change the fact that I still pick up the phone and call him. I still pick up the phone and want to text him. I still pick up the phone and think about him. You know, I'll be talking to my girl and be like, "Oh, I should ask Blake." Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not. I don't know when that ever stops because I'm still like that with my mother. Like, you know, there's times where I'm like, man, I just need to talk to my mom. You know what I'm saying? But it's to me, she's just, you know, I mean, I realize she's in a better place and she's in a better predicament. You know what I'm saying? And you know, the last thing I would want her to do is go through all this COVID shit. You see what I'm saying? So it was like it wasn't her time, but I'm thankful that she didn't have to deal with the stuff that's going on there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wouldn't wish this COVID shit on anybody, to be honest. You know, it's just a weird time to be alive. You know, but when it comes, it comes. I'm just in no rush to push it, and therapy pushes. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of them things is if you're not in a point in your life where you're ready to open up, you're just wasting your money going to therapy. You know?
You take your time. You know yourself better than anybody else is going to. You know, if you hit that point that you know you need to go and talk to somebody, otherwise, like I can't be the one that's like, no, you got to go right now. Like I didn't go, and but it's not like it's the end of the race or anything like that. Like I'm sure there's going to be a time that I end up going to a therapy session, but yeah, it's going to be when I want to go, or when I need to go there, when I feel the need to go there. Everyone's going to be different. You know, you and Don got different stories to tell, and you know everybody's got their own story to tell. I'm sure we'd all benefit from it in some way, but no, we're not here to try and rush anybody to go and do something that you don't feel comfortable doing or you don't want to do yet or anything. Take your time. We're still here. You know,
no, you're right. Right. You're definitely right about that. This helps too, you know, that you guys that definitely help. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's you know the whole premise of it, to to heal and get back together and things like that. So nah, you'll know.
Yeah, fellas, man, like I say, man, God's not done with us, man. Done with us yet, man. Whether we believe it or not, I think a lot of times it's crazy. It's like, things happen. I remember my mom would tell me a story about, like, when she knew she was gonna lose her mom, God came to her in a dream, man, and was kind of gave her like this belt of strength or whatever, and then and then she, like, I guess the next day or so, she loses her mom. It's like, different things. Recently I had this dream, like, a lot of heads from my old, neighborhoods and all, like, we're all gathered, man. Well, we did for somebody death, but I couldn't tell who it was, but I just knew that we was there for somebody, but everybody was. But the thing is that, like, when these things are happening, sometimes God has ways of working in these shadows where he sets things up like this, and then the people that come around, and those are the things that keep us moving, and so we get to grieve. So that grieving is like, when people ask, when do you get to grieve, in a sense, man, sometimes it's not a matter of, like, necessarily just when. It's you're even when you don't recognize it, maybe at times, those moments when you're waking up and you're crying about it, or you're driving, or you're dreaming, those are all those things that you're processing. It's an everyday thing. So whether you think you're processing it or not, you really are. You're accepting it. Every single day you wake up and you get up and you keep moving, you accept it. That's what you do, So, and you take those moments to feel the pain. Like I said, again, over and over again, man, embrace that pain, cry that joint out, feel some kind of way, scream, and, when nobody's listening or whatever, feel like you gotta have that emotion, and you keep pushing, like, and that's just it. Like, you just keep pushing, because that's just what you do. That's what you do. And you're grieving in the process. You do it every single day, every single day you wake up, you do it, So, like you said, and then when you're ready and you want, if not even when you're ready, if you ever decide you want to do it to that nature where you want to sit there and you want to talk to somebody, for an hour or two, okay. But, you talk about it every day. You're talking about it right now, it don't have to be a paid session. Sometimes you can't escape it. You might not necessarily even want to talk about it. Who say you want to talk about it tonight? It just popped up. We talking about it. That's grieving.
And like, with death and stuff, okay, so look, there's two types of death. You got death that's directly, and then you got death that's indirect. So your indirect death would be like a coworker dying. You know what I'm saying? Then your direct would be like a family member. Well, during that time when, like, a family member dies, like, when my mom died, everybody's mom called me. And it wasn't necessarily them calling to check on me. They were calling because they needed reassurance. You see what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness, I can't believe this happened. And it was like, yeah, I know, I'm in the same boat. Like it was almost, I'm talking them off a ledge when you needed it. You get what I'm saying? Like you're the one who just lost somebody, but you're out here patting everybody on their back, even though they're calling you, saying they're checking on you. They're the ones talking for 40 minutes on how great, your mom was, or how much of a loss it was, and how upset they were. But you're just there listening. Like, you're just like, it kind of makes you. I think that's what made me who I am. You know what I'm saying? Is being around death. We lost our grandma at a very young age. You know what I'm saying? And that's where it all started. And I lose the aunt, lose the uncle, we lose our grandfather, all this stuff that's close to us. And we come from a big family. Our moms had 16 brothers and sisters. So it's like, how can you not get used to death? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you not? And sometimes it's sad when you listen to it, like, because it's like, it shouldn't be normal, but it is. Like, and like you said, you get numb to it, man. And it's like, I don't want to be like this. Like, I want to be that dude who's crying at a funeral, like, acting like I can't go to work tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But in reality, I'm that dude who's just
crazy.
I'm hugging everybody else. Like, I'm like, look, we're gonna get through this. Like, when really I should be the one who's breaking. You know what I'm saying? I mean, but that I don't want to make it seem like I'm not broken on the inside. Trust me. I mean, the shit that I've been through in the last couple of years, man, just fucking, it amazes me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, why? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what more can you take from You know what I'm saying? Like that's where I'm at right now. Like it's like I almost get mad when I'm driving to work and I start crying. I almost get mad and frustrated because it's like I don't even want God to see me cry because it's like this shit that's happened is your book. You wrote this. You know what I'm saying? So they say God never puts more strength or more task on you than you can handle. So who the fuck said I can handle all this? You know what I'm saying? I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. But it's like, yo, it's like I didn't sign up for this shit. Like, I don't know. It
BFT,
makes me
man.
question, huh?
Said BFT.
Yeah, man. Like, it definitely, man. Like, you know, some of the stuff people and it, it helps hearing other people's thoughts. It helps listening to other people. Like, 'cause then you say, okay, all right, I got it that bad. Like, that's crazy.
I mean, there's like on a day-to-day basis, it's almost like like this past weekend when I stayed up all night, I specifically was like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and watch a movie. But as soon as I was going through all the movies, like I kind of just need to watch something that my mind won't be on. And then I got to the point, I'm like, now let me watch something with substance. And I read this. It was on Hulu. It was like a romantic comedy, and it was based out of like Australia. But the storyline was like it was supposed to be something funny, but it was a dude that every time he woke up, 12 months had passed. And it was like it was supposed to, and as soon as I read the description, I was like, I'm gonna cry. I'm going to because it's just one of those things that's gonna hit home, you know, and it's like my biggest thing in life is time because I don't know if I'm gonna wake up tomorrow. I don't know when you're gonna get that phone call that your brother's car is flipped over on friggin' 97. Like those things just it stops your world, you know. So it's like I get mad when I don't feel like time is being considered with a lot of things because I'm like, there's nothing guaranteed here. I got to do everything I can possibly do while I'm here because I don't know if you know it's I'm gonna be living until 97 years old or whatever. Or, you know, not have a kid before my mom is able to see him and stuff like that. It's like those types of things really start hitting home. But I watched that movie and he of course gets it like goes through it and a year later all of a sudden you lost your wife. A year later you're all of a sudden like and it's like all that time that was missed in between and he gets one day that he can come in and he gets filled in on what's happened. Let me see if I can right the ship real quick because all I care about is this moment. And then he wakes up the next day and another 12 months is gone. And it's just like, it just puts things into perspective, you know. And we watched the animated series and it was all about death. But in like the Mexican culture, it's celebrated because it's like, it makes life worth living. You know, it gives value to life and just being present. It all comes back to just like being present, being in this moment. But yeah, I mean that therapy on a day-to-day basis, it comes in a lot of different forms. You never know what door you open for somebody and they bring something up that hits home. You guys strike off a conversation or something. Just, you know, just be open to it, accept the emotion. Because after I cried, I was like, I got up and I started doing stuff again. Like it felt good. I didn't realize I needed to until it happened, you know.
What movie was that, man?
I was trying to Google it because I didn't know any of the actors. I didn't know it was just on Hulu because I originally was trying to come up with like a romantic comedy and write the soundtrack to the romantic comedy. I was trying to watch like Brown Sugar or something like that, but as soon as I read that, I was like, I'm currently staying up all night long and I've legitimately worked on some, I mean, I was happy about the fact that I was working, but I was working on something all night. Like even in my downtime, I went and washed some clothes and washed some dishes and stuff. And I finally sat down for an hour and 40 minutes and watched this, you know, C-list movie, and I needed to watch it. Somebody somewhere put that in front of me and was like, no, sit here and understand when your wife wakes up in 2 hours, you need to go up and hang out with her. The dogs are barking at you. You need to take them outside and go out and enjoy, just genuinely just enjoy being present, enjoy your surroundings and everything. Yeah, it was necessary. in another week, I'll probably need to watch another movie like that, you know. But whatever it takes.
Get the popcorn.
Was that an animated movie? Was that Coco?
Nah. The series is Coco was another one though. Coco, I watched that and I knew going into it, I'm like, yep, this is gonna be a good one.
Coco made me cry.
It made me cry too. Now Maya and the Three is on Netflix, but I love animated tales that you can tell adults made it knowing that adults are going to be watching it with their kids and there's a message behind it. So it was dope. But I'll have to find the Hulu one off. I don't know. Maybe it was probably 4 o'clock in the morning when I watched it. Maybe I was a little tired and it wasn't as good as I thought it was, but it definitely it hit home at that moment though.
Philip will find it and we'll put the link in the description.
Pin the comment.
The only Australian rom-com on Hulu, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
Been watched one time. Still picture shows up.
You're doing on time.
Shoot,
way past.
Yeah, right.
we made up for last week, this week,
Like,
week.
Six episodes right here.
So.
The best part is that we hit on everything that we wanted to talk about, plus more. Yeah, this was fantastic, man.
Yeah. I mean, we can break it into part 1, part 2, even.
I was thinking that. Yeah, I was definitely thinking that.
Yeah, I would definitely break it up.
Yeah, probably make it more digestible for everybody.
So concluding on that note,
yeah, hit that like button, hit that subscribe
button. Hey Don, run it back.
Yeah, some numbers, baby.
This has been the Stxhes Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening. We've got Philip, Gene, Brandon, and Dwayno. Myself, Donnie. Thanks. Look forward to seeing you next time. Good night. Love you, fellas.
I love you, fellas.
Love you guys, man.
Later.
I got
your love, that's my only concern. You play with fire and you gon' get burned. I know this won't be easy.